Welcome to the Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with your host, Charlie Butler. This is where you'll learn to sell your home quickly and for more money. And now, the host of the Real Estate Show, the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler.
Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Evie Barr.
Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Evie. How are you doing this morning?
You know, I am so excited because it's Daytona 500 Day.
It is Daytona 500 Day.
Did you know I was a NASCAR junkie?
No, I was just, and I was just reading something about NASCAR recently about how far their ratings had dropped recently.
Really?
And apparently there's some infighting among the France family and on-site attendance has dropped.
Wow.
And so I'm sure they're not hurting. I don't mean that. I'm by no means saying that they're hurting, but
yes.
I don't. I think that they're going through. They've had many of their stars over the last few years retire now.
Yes.
And so I think they're having to build new stars right now.
Sure. Between Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, I think it was Carl Edwards that announced his retirement in between seasons.
Yeah.
I heard him say or saw a news report that part of it was Dale Jr. being out for concussions. Part of that played into it. So I'm sure it does a lot of damage to your body, those wrecks.
I was a big fan in the 90s up in the early 2000s, but I really lost a lot of interest when Dale Sr. got killed. I was a big Dale Sr. fan, and as everybody's seen that wreck, it didn't look that bad compared to some of them. Yeah.
Right.
He just hit right.
Yes. Yes, and they've put safety devices into place since then to keep from that happening again. I still remember exactly where I was because I was in my car and I was listening to it. And I kind of did a little darn it, Dale, upset because he was so close. And anyway, I remember finding out and crying, just because to me, that was like family member. We were raised on NASCAR, that we'd go for drives every Sunday, I think, just so my dad could listen to the race because they weren't all televised.
Yeah. And, the irony about Dale Earnhardt Sr. was he was known as such a bad guy, the intimidator, and he did everything to build that image up. And he was a huge philanthropist.
Yes.
Kept it very quiet. In fact, there's a quick story out there. They said he was driving his pickup down the road one day, and these kids were collecting by a church. They were collecting money.
Uh-huh.
And he asked them, he says, "What are you collecting money for?" He said, "Well, we're trying to raise $40,000 for a parking lot." He reached in his glove compartment. He writes out a check for $40,000.
Wow.
Hands it to him, and he says, "Now, if anybody ever finds out who gave you this check," he said, "I'll come back with a backhoe and tear that parking lot up."
Yes.
He said, "Because I'm supposed to be a bad guy."
But honestly, that's how, charitable donations should be handled. I mean, you should do it out of the goodness of your heart and not expect anything in return. So
exactly. And Jerry Terry, who's going to join us shortly.
Yes.
Someone that from her company, Christina Rhodes. Christina's been on our show, and Dale Earnhardt Sr. was one of the biggest Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
He granted several wishes, in his lifetime. So.
And speaking of Christina, we need to have her on soon. That we are starting up the Cottages for Kids campaign essentially, and Cottages for Kids, those. That happens during Parade of Homes, which is in June. But right now we're looking for builders of the cottages. So we need to have her in here in a few weeks and have her discuss that.
That is such a neat thing, too. And Christina and I had breakfast the other morning, and of course, I'm now on a committee, after I had breakfast with Christina. It always happens that way. Thank God I got away with my checkbook, but that's, that won't last long. But anyway, their golf scramble's also coming up, which is their biggest fundraiser of the year. And so we'll have her on soon. We'll have her on soon, talk about that. In fact, I talked to her just a couple weeks ago. I don't think I told you that, but I talked to her about that.
Okay.
We'll get her back on. So what's going on in the mortgage world?
The mortgage world is going strong with pre-approvals. The great thing about Waterstone Mortgage is We have so many programs for every type of buyer out there. We have access to all of the government programs. If, someone is a veteran, we have that available. If someone's wanting to do a USDA rural development program in the not necessarily Evansville city limits or Newburgh city limits, but in the outlining areas, we have that available. We also have the FHA program that allows for 3.5% down. A lot of the government programs only allow credit scores down to 640. Waterstone has programs that allow for 600. So there's a lot of activity with the government programs right now for low down payment.
Something a little different. I know a lot of people come to you, but you guys, I think, sometimes get pigeonholed, even by agents that I know, as only working with better credit. And that's not completely true, is it?
No, that's not true at all. We do allow for lower credit scores. We look at those files on a case-by-case basis. It's hard for me to say, oh yeah, a person has a credit score of 560. We can definitely do that. It's going to depend on why they have that credit score of 560. Recently, I had a borrower who I had pre-approved for our FHA program with credit score down to 600, and his credit reports are only good for 120 days. So he still hadn't found a house, but now he's found one. His credit report's expiring. So while he's sitting in my office, I said, hey, can I go ahead and pull your credit? Just make sure we're good on everything. And he said, yes. Well, lo and behold, for some reason, his credit score fell to in about 580, 585. And, he was all worried we wouldn't be able to do anything for him, but we are able to broker out the loan and still get FHA financing for him, which is what he's needing. Now, by brokering a loan, the big difference between brokering a loan and just doing a loan through Waterstone directly is that whichever mortgage company we're brokering to, their underwriter is going to be the one reviewing the file. On those files, it's so important that we have all the documentation up front. We write the full story for that broker's underwriter, and that way they have no additional questions that they need to ask. If you tell them the story up front, they're less likely to pick things apart because they can see where you're going with the file. So that's the big difference between us underwriting it and having to broker it out.
Yeah, and I think it's just like in our business, in real estate, information's power.
Yes.
So you don't, I know a lot of people, sometimes think, well, I won't tell them about that. That just hurts. That hurts them.
That's
when
exactly
they don't tell
right.
you anything.
It's so much easier if I see something with a file, just boom, go ahead and address it, whether it be to the underwriter, to the buyer. If you're going to tell the buyer about something, go ahead and tell the real estate agents, hey, this is going on. Hit up front. And there's a whole lot less questions with the underwriter than what there would be if you just try and slide it through.
Because the underwriter has to find out on his own. He's going to say, why didn't I know this?
Yes.
What are they trying? What else are they hiding?
Yes. And I'm very ethical with my files, but I'm also on the conservative side with my files, that I would rather have too much documentation in there to clear everything up for the underwriter instead of them asking for a ton of stuff that they really don't need. So
again, you're listening to the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show with my co-host, Debbie Barr, and everybody is on me. I don't say that enough, so I will. I promise I'll get better, but I think let's get our guest in here. We've got Jerry Terry with us today, and the reason we had Jerry, first, I really like Jerry, for one thing.
Yes.
But besides that, I really respect Jerry, in all honesty, because Jerry is the past president of the Southwest Indiana Association of Realtors, and Jerry and I served on the board for a long time together.
Probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'm still on. I'm finally my last year, Jerry. I'm the only. I know everybody dropping off because of the way things fell. I wound up with 8 years.
Okay.
So I'm the longest serving right now. But Jerry,
we're glad to have you on the board. You're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate it. So, but Jerry is past president. Jerry did some things, and it's not as much as what she did, but she brought some different thought into the job. And I guess the one thing, Jerry, for people out there, they think that, okay, Southwest Indiana Association of Realtors is just an association for realtors. They don't do anything else. That's really not true, is it?
Well, it's a really strong organization. We have 12 counties that are involved. So when I was president, there were 12 counties that we were working together with. And in addition to the over 800 realtors that we have in our association, we also have lenders, inspectors, a lot of different affiliated groups. And what is so unique about our business, and I think it's so fascinating, we're all competitors. But we come together and we cooperate. We learn together. We share industry information, and actually that makes us a very strong industry, and it really helps our entire community. So we are on a first-name basis with the other lenders that come to our association meetings, and we have a lot of events. We have a young professional network. That's something that I started when I was president. I'm pretty proud of that.
And that has really grown, too.
They're a very dynamic group. They've done some junior achievement projects. Just Monday, they cooked dinner for the Ronald McDonald House. So we're a pretty well-connected group, and you don't see any competition when we're together working on projects like the golf outing that we do and other fundraisers. Some of these community charities around here, that golf event, the money that we bring to them every year is their single biggest check, with some of those charities. So we work really hard. And, of course, being a Marine mom, I loved doing the Toys for Tots. I kind of introduced that. So every December when we have our association meeting, the tables are filled with toys. That's kind of fun. So we do a lot of hard work, but we have a good time together.
So being president is not really like any different being any other board member. There's not really any work to it, is there, Jerry?
Well, I might disagree.
I should finish that. So many people are going to think when you're president of an organization like this, it's kind of an honorary thing. They tried to get me to be an officer. I was treasurer for 1 year, and I said I could never do what she did. You kind of have to sacrifice your business a lot.
Definitely put some things on the back burner and just put my full energy into it and enjoyed it, learned so much. And I think that we made some progress. I think we made a difference while I was president, and we made some big changes that were good. The other big party we had while I was president, we celebrated our 100-year anniversary as an association. So that was fun. And it gave me an opportunity to go back into the files and look in these boxes of what realtors looked like 100 years ago. We had some fabulous pictures from the 40s with ladies with their feathers in their hats and, pretty fancy-looking group. But, the neat thing is we've always been strong and that we come together and help the community. I think one of our big pushes in the 60s, can't remember 60s or 70s, there was a group of realtors that stood up to save the courthouse. So, just in researching that history, we get involved in the community. And now you see, you will see realtors either in public office or in a lot of volunteer capacities. We have this flexible schedule where we only work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But we can get out in the community and do volunteering. And I was on a board that put together the riverfront in Newburgh, the walkway. I was on that board of directors. And
that's beautiful.
So
that is beautiful.
It's
Turned
wonderful.
out fantastic.
And I'm not active in a project that's coming up now, but I'm pretty excited about it, the Warwick Trails, warwicktrails.org. They're adding 30 miles of trails in Warwick County. They're going to connect all the castle schools, everywhere from where Deaconess Hospital is fantastic. They put $5.5 million into something called Freedman Park, Victoria National.
Yeah. I know Freedman Park's being built out there.
Oh, man. I drove by there this morning just to really put my eyes on it, and I really literally can't wait to take my granddaughter out there. There's just going to be so much to do. But that's a cool project, and, you get people involved in the community who have vision. And there are people that don't have vision or not a lot of money, but they grab onto somebody else's vision, and that is a volunteer. That's what we need. For projects like that. We need people that are excited about it, that are willing to buy bricks or, put money as donations or time. And they're going to have a grand opening at Friedman Park the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. They're also going to have a 5 and 10K Victoria run to get that park off the ground. So that leads right into our discussion of quality of place. You and I as realtors, you and
I have discussed this quite a bit. Jerry and I are also on in our industries, RPAC trustees, which is the Real Estate Political Action Committee, part of the group that the realtors bring together to decide what candidates we give money to. So Jerry and I are among, I think there's 7, if I recall.
7 or 8 people on the committee, yes.
That interview the candidates and then narrow that down.
Okay.
To who we give money to. So, and this is where, we've had a lot of discussions about what Jerry's getting, about quality of place. So, didn't mean to interrupt. But, Jerry, one thing real quick, just in case you're talking about Friedman Park, for anybody out there that doesn't know, Terry Friedman was the gentleman who developed Victoria National. And unfortunately died soon after it was done, fell over dead from a sudden heart attack at his condo in Hawaii, which was, I always found it really sad. This was his life dream, was to try to bring a U.S. Open to Southern Illinois or Southern Indiana. And some people that know him, I've had the pleasure have told me those houses wouldn't be there.
No.
That he planned on that all being infrastructure for a U.S. Open.
Well, I was very fortunate. Early on, I was able to meet Terry Friedman, and I worked with him in the beginning to get his project off the ground. And he took me and another realtor friend of mine and in a pickup truck, and we went driving out over that property before anything was ever done. And he was so excited. He was going on about it. I'm thinking, I see a lot of grass. That's pretty grass, and there's some hills. It's kind of bumpy out here in this truck. And he was so excited talking about the whole thing. And then he took us up onto a high clearing, and we got out, and he looked around, and he just started pointing his arms left and right. And the greens are going to be over here, and the homes are going to be over here, and we're going to put lakes. And I just thought, wow. It was just so fascinating to even have the opportunity to meet him and be in his presence and see that was a man with a vision. And I'm so amazed by people who have vision, who can see a blank slate and then make something. He brought something to our area that we can't put a price tag on. He brought a world-class golf community course clubhouse to our community.
He brought what's now ranked, I think, in Golf Digest, the 50th or 51st best course in the world. And they said if it had more tradition, it would be top 10. But I'll tell, and I've heard from 2 different people who were contractors that knew him that this is true. Similar to what you said, Terry Friedman hired the top golf course designer wanted to hire the top golf course designer in the world, Tom Fazio. Well, Tom Fazio is known as the U.S. Open doctor. And he called Fazio's office, and they told him, said, sir, we have to look at so many properties a year that, we can't go out and look at every property. So we instituted a policy. Anybody wants to come look at their property, we'll come and look at it. But it's $1 million down, non-refundable. And Terry Friedman, without blinking, said, well, who do I send the check to?
Wow.
And Tom Fazio came and has said in Golf Digest, it is his second favorite course he ever did.
Well, it's beautiful. And the run that they're going to have out there on Memorial Weekend is going to run through the golf course. So there's your opportunity. Sign up and do your 5 or 10K run and get a nice up close look at the golf course.
I always make sure I stay nice to Wayne Ellis, but since he's a member, and then I get to play that way since I'm nice to Wayne.
And we've had some really nice realtor meetings out there too at that clubhouse. That's a treat when we get to meet out there and have gatherings there. So that's really cool. We're very fortunate that we have a visionary, and we've got other visionaries too that we can get behind.
So we got off the subject, but kind of as you said, what Terry did this kind of leads us into quality of place, which I know you're passionate about that, Jerry. You want to, some may not even know what this means. You want to kind of get into this a little bit?
I don't know what that means. So break it down for us.
Well, everybody remembers in 2008, we had a little challenge. Our economy went a little shaky, and everybody just kind of got a little afraid. And Evansville put together, and I can't remember the name of the group that put it together, but there was an economic forum. They brought together people from Illinois, Kentucky, and Indiana, and it was at the Civic Center, or it was downtown Evansville, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I went down there, and everybody was a little tense at that time. And all these guys, we had a challenge. We're Americans. We have that fighting spirit, and basically we weren't going to let this get the best of us. So basically everybody kind of rallied and said, we've got a challenge. These are the things that we can do. And it was incredible. They had a VP from Forbes come in. He was the keynote speaker. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But one thing they talked about was quality of the place. They said they would send in a person who wouldn't tell anybody what they were doing, but they'd come to a town and look around. And they would be sort of headhunters for companies who are placing companies or businesses or manufacturing facilities. And they know that they can get the best people if they can attract them to a city that they want to bring their family to live in. So they started talking about quality of place, and that really captured my imagination. And I just thought we really need to ask the questions of our politicians who, we were interviewing together. What is your vision for our city? What do you think you can bring to us that will tie into that quality of place? And many of our realtors, many of, our affiliates, they are very interested in volunteering and bringing really good ideas to our community, and that's making the riverfront beautiful, putting parks that children can be safe in, walking paths. We're competing with some pretty strong cities throughout the Midwest and the coast, and I think Evansville stacks up very, very nicely. When people come to Evansville and start to get to know Evansville, they just fall in love with it. It's an intimate city. It's big enough, but it's not too big. It's not too small. I think it's just perfect.
Yes.
Jerry and I, in the political action committee meetings, kind of became known as the Owensboro Two, because, and Jerry can explain this probably better than.
Well, I took a trip over to Owensboro because everybody was talking about their riverfront, and I was like, I'm getting sick of hearing about this. I'm just going to have to go see what's going on. It can't be that great. And I went over there, and it just blew me away.
Absolutely.
I thought, wait a minute, what do we need to do? Who do we need to talk to?
Yes.
Let's do this. And I think more than anything, I just want a nice big swing with a shade on it that I can sit there and swing and look at the river. Why can't we put some of those somewhere? But, you look around, and that kind of ties back into the riverfront project I worked on in my own hometown. We were on vacation in Sausalito, California, and, that's on the bay.
Yes.
I noticed that the walkway was kind of a lower, it's below street level, and I thought that's kind of a cool idea. So there are public meetings where when a town is going to do a big project, they invite public opinion. So that's one of the things. I said this would be kind of cool, and showed the architect's photographs, and that's what everybody should do. If they've gone on vacation, if they've seen a good idea, bring your photographs and your ideas to the meeting. And that ties into one other thing I'd like to talk about just briefly. In Newburgh, they're going to have a public meeting for input on the parks and trails for Newburgh, and that's going to be on March 15th at 5:30 at the town hall. So in quality of place, we need to remember that each of us has a role to play. You can do a little volunteering. You can offer suggestions. And when they're planning is the time to make those suggestions. But all ideas are thought of. We just need as many ideas as possible and just come up with the best for everybody.
Jerry is the first person, Abby, that I heard talk about North Main.
Well,
Jerry was very early to the party on North Main. And
what do you mean by North Main?
Go ahead, Jerry.
North Main is an area where people live. There's potential there. It doesn't just need to be, crumbling sidewalks and nothing there, nothing. You can make a space beautiful, and that increases your quality of life and your happiness. and property values, getting back to our business of real estate.
And I sold the property because
very good.
I sold the property up there to a speculator.
Well,
so it's
that's up to all of us, just to get in, get some ideas rolling, and just ask the question: why can't we do this? What would it hurt to at least consider this idea?
Yes. And I have to say, last year was the first time I went down to Owensboro for their Friday After 5, and just the mobs of people. And if we could bring that to Newburgh or to downtown Evansville, oh my gosh, that would be so awesome.
Jerry and I have asked every politician who has ever ran for office in the last few years that very question.
We were broken record, weren't we? It's like, we know what's coming next. They didn't know, but we knew. Yeah.
We knew, yeah.
But I know Newburgh, they have the Wine Fest.
Yes.
And then is it the Fiddler Fest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that every year. That's diehard volunteers. They're some of the greatest people in the world who volunteer, and they get out there and they fry fish when it's raining, when it's cold, when it's beautiful. There are just some incredible people that live there, and they love their community. They just, they will get out there and they do that for the community because we expect it and love it.
Yes.
So, and another thing about the Newburgh Riverfront, that walkway is a promenade for puppy dogs. I mean, the funniest thing is on a beautiful day, you'll see 50, 60 dogs, with their owners, That is just a modern day promenade. And it's just the most fun to see that. I volunteered a while back. I put my time and my effort into it. And now, 20 years later, I'm enjoying it as a
And it's such
resident.
a beautiful walk. If any of the listeners have not done it yet, it's a fabulous walk to walk past the historic homes or the older homes through there. Mm-hmm. There's one that always has a old white convertible car. It has a rumbler seat in it.
Yes, I know.
And it's just fun atmosphere down there.
It's turning into a wedding venue now.
I bet.
I mean, you should drive through there and just see. There are so many pictures taken of brides on that riverfront.
Yes.
Jerry, before I'm getting the signal, we got a couple minutes, and I know you are passionate about these things, but you're also passionate about selling homes too, aren't you?
I am. I've been doing it for 30 years now, so I'm a veteran for sure.
And Jerry and I are with different companies, which is fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, the competition's Jerry's with FC Tucker. You want to give your contact information where anybody that wants to call you can give you a call.
Well, thank you. Yes, they can reach me at 812-459-4374. I've put together a little community website called newburghliving.com. And then my professional website is www.gerryterry.com. Thank you.
Jerry is a real quality person. And Jerry, anything else before we do anything else on this subject, on quality of place and some of the things we talked about that you want to add?
Well, I just very briefly, leadership. I would just say that if there are people out there in the community that need volunteers, don't be afraid to tap someone on the shoulder and ask them, because somebody asked me to get on the board of directors, and then they asked me to be president. So, I mean, you'll get a lot of quality work out of somebody by just simply asking them to get involved.
Jerry Terry, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
It's been a delight.
I hope you'll come back again to us, because I know there's a lot more to talk about.
Well, thank you, Charlie. It's really good to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. And so we got less than a minute left, Debbie.
If anybody wants to contact me for any type of mortgage, they can give me a call at 812-463-3199 or on our website waterstoneindiana.com.
Charlie Butler team, for your real estate needs, for those of you that don't call Jerry Terry, call us today at 812-430-1708 or charliebutlerteam.com. Any questions for the show, Facebook them to us, give us a call, whatever. We'll be glad to answer them. I think we're out of time, and this is Charlie Butler saying have a great Sunday.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler. Join us every week at this time to find out how to sell your home quickly and for more money. For more information, email cbutler@kw.com or visit charliebutlerteam.com.